Awesome. Thank you guys all for coming out tonight. I'm really excited to be back in Toronto for another mobile growth meetup. How are we doing on the sound?
It keeps cutting out, sorry.
How about now? Oh, I think I can. There we go. All right. So thank you guys all for coming out for Mobile Growth Toronto. This is our 4th meetup. We're really excited to be back having another awesome event all about how to grow your app. I'm Elizabeth, and I organize these events. More on me later, but for now, I want to go ahead and welcome and thank our sponsors who help make all this happen. And so first, as soon as Amy's done adjusting, I'm going to invite her to come up and give you guys a little info about Devhub, Dev Month, and Lighthouse Labs. All right. Hi guys. First off, I just want to say welcome to our space. So the space we're in right now is actually called Devhub. We just moved in 2 months ago. We expanded to this 12,000 square foot space. Originally, we were Lighthouse Labs, which is an immersive developer bootcamp. If you haven't heard of it, we run 2 8-week courses in iOS and web development. And that's, if you go to the washroom, you'll see a ton of people out there coding on the other side, and that's what that space is. And in here, we're actually launching Canada's first full-blown education and co-working space for developers. So we're looking at continuing that education and that growth beyond 8 weeks. How do you keep doing that after 5 years, 10 years, etc.? So we're running programming specifically for developers all month long that's free. You can check it out at our meetup, which is meetup.com/devhub. We literally have events almost every day for the next, till the end of the month. And we're offering as well, if you are a developer and you're looking for some co-working space for the month of April, we're offering you the opportunity to use our space for free. You can come have a desk and make use of all our facilities for that month. And so if you're interested in that, just find me. I'll be hanging around and I can tell you more about that. Thanks, Amy. And thank you guys again for hosting us. Devhub and Dev Month and Lighthouse Labs are a great partner for Branch, and we love being able to do things in their space. So the other people that made this meetup possible, and the reason that you have the beer you're drinking and the pizza that I hope is in your belly, are our friends from Liftoff. So I'm going to invite James from Liftoff to come up and give you guys a little insight on what Liftoff does.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I hope you guys are enjoying your beer and pizza. We got enough beer for everyone to have 2.5. So, if you finish half, the guy next to you can take it. So thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for having us, Amy. Who here has heard of Liftoff? Yes, we know, Adam. We know you've heard of Liftoff. Who here wants to learn more about Liftoff? All right, that's exciting. So Liftoff is a mobile DSP. I know that's a very broad term, but we specialize in getting mobile app developers out of paying for just installs. We really want to drive a better quality user, and a better quality user can be really anything across any different vertical. You know, what does a user do after they install your application? Do they register? Do they make purchases? Do they engage in some way? And so we want to get you out of paying for installs and actually paying for that actual engagement. So a good example of that is like Uber. Uber pays us every time a user books a first ride. So clicks, installs, credit card information, registers, actually books that first ride. So that's ROI positive for them. We do that by accessing about 98% of the in-app inventory worldwide. We have 4 data centers, 2 in North America, 1 in Europe, and 1 in Asia, so we're effective internationally. As well as we have about 2 billion users in active mobile data. When I say active mobile data, I mean we have a inference around who the user is and if they're going to be interested in your product. So if a user has never clicked on an ad, we will never show them another ad. It's just pointless at that point. So what we try to do is give you better users at scale. And we're based in Menlo Park, California. We have a new office in New York. I'm based in Denver. My colleague Adoni back there. If you guys have any kind of questions, just come find us, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. All right? Thanks.
Thanks, James. If you guys have extra beer, I will take your other half. No, I'm just kidding. No, maybe I'm not kidding. So what is Branch and who am I? So Branch makes deep links that just work.
I am Elizabeth, as I said earlier, and I organize our mobile growth meetups across the world. So you are part of a community of more than 47 chapters, and as of today, I think we're like 10 people away from 13,000, which is super exciting for me. I've been at Branch for about a year, and have been building up the mobile growth community across the globe. So Branch is from Palo Alto. We were founded by developers for developers. So we had 4 app developers who made a photo book app, and they got featured on the website, or on the Apple Store, and got a lot of great growth from that. But once the feature went away, so did all their users, which was not great for them. So Branch was actually born out of their initiative to create a referral program that they could track information through the install process and be able to tell what channels were working for them. So they scrapped the photo book once they realized that all of their app developer friends really wanted this in their app as well, and decided to focus full-time on deep linking. So we've been around as Branch for about 18 months. We've been through a couple of rounds of funding, and we're up to a little over 60 full-time employees in the US, and then we also have a couple of folks that work for us doing similar things in India. We're used by about 4,000 apps at this point, including some great companies like Wattpad and Airbnb, Pinterest are all partners of ours, including a lot of other smaller apps and startups are using us for growth. We are completely free and open source. We have an open source SDKs, and our API is public, so you guys can check us out on GitHub and contribute. We fully encourage that. At Branch, literally all we do is think about how we can improve the mobile ecosystem. I'm pretty sure that our co-founders are up every night figuring out what can we do tomorrow to make this better for developers and marketers. So what is deep linking? A deep link is basically a link that takes you to a specific piece of content. So you guys click on deep links all the time on the web. Anytime that you're going to a web page that is not a home page, that's a deep link. So here's an example of where you're directed to a specific shoe on the Colcon website. So that is an example of a deep link. This is not a deep link, it's just their homepage. So how does it work in mobile? It's pretty challenging. In mobile, the content that's in your app, as you know, is not publicly accessible or searchable. Normal links don't work, and basic deep links can be kind of complicated to set up, and they're specific to your app. So if you have a version that's iOS and a version that's Android, you might have to write different deep linking schemes for both because they're using different URIs, right? The other problem is that deep links don't actually work for new users, so they're not passing data through the install process. So once someone clicks on your link, you don't know what happened to them next. So Branch, like I said, offers free deep linking. We've got SDK and an API, and we pass data through the install process. So we're actually able to embed parameters in your link, and you can actually know after someone installs where they came from. So here are some of the things that Branch can do. Yay! So one of the biggest things that we think is really important is being able to track organic and paid downloads, so you know what channels to focus on for growth. Because we're able to build out such awesome deep links, we're also able to do a lot of really cool things, like marketing links, so you can have your marketing team create deep links without ever having to touch code. We do content sharing. We do rewarded referrals. Personalized onboarding and deep views, which I'll tell you about in a second. But what I want to talk to you about tonight for the next couple minutes are our download banners and how you can push people from your web traffic into your app. So there's a lot of different ways that you can convert your web traffic to your app. So you can send people emails and tell them, hey, download my app. You can deep link them directly from the email and have them go into, is this on? And have, maybe I'll just talk a little closer, that's a little better, right? So you can actually put them in through like using actual deep links and send them from your marketing emails straight to content in your app. You can tell Google, hey, I have an app, please index me. If you want info on that, we have a great blog about how to implement that. But one of the most effective ways of doing pushing people from web to app, you know, I'm actually really loud. So
I can switch them.
That's getting kind of annoying. Okay, so one of the best ways to do it is actually to push people using a smart banner. So Apple is great. They have a smart banner that you can implement out of the box. So it functions pretty much how you would expect. So if a user has the app, it says, hey, open the app. If they don't have the app, it pushes them to the app store.
And that's all well and good, but it doesn't work on Android. It doesn't work on desktop. You can't customize it, and it makes it really tough doing anything unique with your smart banner. Of course, I have a solution for you for your smart banners. So the best thing about branch smart banners is that they're cross-platform, so you can actually track things on all of the platforms, including desktop. You can use them for app conversion. You can route users and provide all that data on your installs. So not only do you get really great insight on where your users are coming from, but you also get really great insight on how they got there, what they do next, and you provide them with a really great experience. So, yay, that's cool. But who's using smart banners? What kind of results have they gotten? So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jet. Jet is a company that's out of New York. They built themselves as one of the best ways to shop and save online. And they have a great native app experience if you want to actually purchase on their phone, but they get a ton of web traffic. So what they wanted to figure out was how do we take those people from the web and actually push them into our app? So they implemented our smart banners, and they drove some really incredible results. So they were actually able to increase their average daily downloads by 3 times what they were seeing before. And they were able to increase the conversion to purchase in the app by 103%, which is really, really great. How did they do that? They customized everything. So they show their smart banner to people that have the app only when they're on a product page. They know that someone has the app. There's no reason to send them the app when they're on the home page, so they send it on the product page. For people that don't have the app, they don't show it on the product pages. They only show it on the home pages. And the reason for that is they don't want to disrupt that mobile experience. Believe it or not, some people don't want to use apps. I don't know who those people are. Not me. But there are people out there that really prefer the mobile web experience. So when you don't actually disrupt their experience, you get a lot better conversion overall. So what were their ultimate results? So 3 times increase in daily downloads. They had a 10% increase in people that actually opened the app after they install, and they're able to track that because of the customizable data that they're passing through the install process. And again, 103% conversion rate in purchase in the app. One statistic that isn't on this slide that I actually think is the most interesting is that 4% of the users who saw their banner would go ahead and download the app, and that 4% makes up 26% of their app users overall, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. 4% to 26% of the app usage. I think that's pretty cool. So to recap, why do you want to use smart banners? So deep linking, baked right in, you don't have to worry about it. It is cross-platform, so it works Android and iOS. It also works on desktop, so you can actually set it up to text yourself the app. So you can SMS message with a link saying download the app. You get complete analytics. And then it's also really, really robust. It works on every browser, every edge case, every OS you could think about, it is supported. So if you want to get started, you can add a few lines of code to your website. It's part of our web SDK, and it's JavaScript based. It's really easy to implement. You can go to branch.io/signup to get started. If you're not ready to take the plunge with Branch, that's okay, I understand. We are free though. So you can learn more about us at branch.io. So now on to the more fun stuff. You don't have to listen to me talk anymore. But you should definitely work on tweeting at us tonight. Use the hashtag #mobilegrowth. I'll be keeping an eye on Twitter, and whoever has what we think and back at the office of Palo Alto thinks is the best tweet. I'll be giving away one of these really sleek Branch hoodies to keep you warm. And we'll put the handles up when the panelists come, so you don't have to remember them or memorize them right now. With that, I'd like to invite Adam up. So Adam is the editor-in-chief and the co-founder of Grow.co and our partner in all things Meetup.
Should I do the
You can try it now and see.
Should we try it?
Let me just turn this on here. I do have another microphone we can use if that one is not.
Is that on?
Hold on here.
Oh, it sounds on now.
That one is?
I think so.
Have we succeeded? Yeah?
We'll see if it lasts.
Okay. This is amazing. So weird to have your face on a slide. I absolutely fucking hate this. But it's really nice.
But look, it's different now.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Thank God. Okay, so for context, I'll just be moderating. We'll bring our panelists up shortly, but just so you have a little context for who I am. I used to run growth at Living Social a long time ago now. That's Living Social is a barely viable company at this point. Sorry. I have been organizing conferences, essentially, and like an online forum and meetups with Branch for the last 2 years, all around mobile growth. Because when I was at Living Social, I was like, wow, you know, I wish I had someone to talk to about this stuff. It's basically a new profession, essentially. So that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. It's really awesome to do these meetups with Branch. One thing about Branch, and I know you just sort of got the full walkthrough, but when did they start the company, like roughly?
June of 20.
So like 2 years-ish, so a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half. So the thing that is incredible about this space, I think Branch speaks to it, is they are truly the ubiquitous deep linking service. Now I know that's a pretty nascent thing, but if you go to my events or you talk to anybody that does deep linking, there's a 95% chance that they're on Branch, and it's a year and a half old company. That is astounding to me. Like, this space is evolving so quickly, and they're a great case study of that. Okay, so now, would our esteemed panelists please join me? All these folks have volunteered, they're all local to Toronto. I'm from New York, by the way. So we'll do maybe like 30 minutes of questions, and we'll take audience questions. You can try this quick too, I don't know. I prepared some questions.
Adam,
yes.
why don't we ditch that mic and the panelists can use the other mic?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm gonna
Yeah,
set up
you can
another.
just talk loud.
Okay, yeah.
I've heard you before, it'll be fine. Thanks for
Okay, cool. So, thank you all. This is going to be low key, I promise. If we could just start by with introductions, both who I am, whatever, but also how long have you worked in the native space and what are you working on now, and like a little bit about the apps that you actually work on day to day for context.
Cool. So hi guys.
We might have to talk about.
Hold on, I'm switching the microphone to the other one. It should be. Let's use this one instead. It's more reliable.
We're eerily close.
Maybe start with voices.
Yeah, I think let's go for it.
Just gonna make sure it's on. Did you flick the switch there? Nothing? No, it's all set up. I don't know what's going on.
The mic list?
Yeah, so for now.
Okay, cool.
I can switch back.
Hey guys, my name is Robin Jama. I'm the founder of Tiny Hearts, a product studio based here in Toronto, next to Bar, up on Spadina. Been around making apps for the past 6 years. We mostly focus on native apps. We have about 6 apps on the App Store. A very popular alarm clock called Wake Alarm, a fitness app called QuickFit, and a keyboard that we recently released called Keyboard. Most of our apps are paid. We're starting to experiment more with freemium. So that's the product side of our business. And then the other side is we make apps for clients as well. And so we work with some of the well-known startups here in Toronto doing some innovation, some product design, and some product development. My day-to-day is usually focused on day-to-day operations, managing the company, making sure the team has what they need to get the work done, and then also very focused on product and very focused on growth.
Do you guys do iOS and Android, or is it all iOS?
All of our apps are iOS only right now, but we do Android for clients.
Got it. And just because the Android opportunity wasn't big, is that the thesis?
Yeah, we're just taking our time. This year we're going to release an Android app and we need to learn, by building, so we're going to take small steps.
Got it. A paid one, or?
Probably free for Android.
Got it. Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. Andy, ready?
So, also go like this. I'm Terry. I'm from Kobo. Kobo is a company that helps people read. So we've been around for about 6 years now. I've been there for about 4 years. Kobo is both software and hardware. So on the app side, we have apps for iOS, Android, Windows, and BlackBerry 10. Still other apps. And basically, so the role that I guess part is on the best management side, try to get more people website or apps to get ebooks. And so we're an international company. We sell ebooks through our apps basically every country and territory in the world. Yeah. So and I focus on growth.
Is there a subscription component at all, or is it pure e-commerce?
It's e-commerce.
Got it. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah.
Caitlin McLaughlin. I'm the lead product manager. Serve as the community team lead at Partner Kids, just a photography startup in Toronto as well, just on Duncan Street. It's a photo sharing community. People upload, share photos, engage with other photographers. We're on the web. We're on iOS and Android. We have subscription plans that is currently a web-only feature that gives members benefits so that they can get more out of the platform. And then roughly a year and a half, 2 years ago, we launched this marketplace on top of the community. So all these photographers who have uploaded their content onto the platform can sell that to interested buyers. And one interesting thing is, I think it was the iPhone 5S, if not the 6, the default wallpaper, that photographer and photos on the platform. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool. Do people upload directly generally, or is it like an Instagram or Facebook like from these photographer folks when they first onboarded?
No, people upload direct. Some people will use it more as a portfolio showcase, lower number of photos, some of their best work, and then some people will do a higher level number of photos.
Got it. But it's not like any random person with an Instagram is encouraged to become a user and drop in thousands of selfies.
No, not looking for selfies, not looking for snapshots of the food you're about to eat, but people who have an interest in photography, even if they're not the best photographer, they're looking to improve and want to take great photos and see great photos.
Okay, cool.
Hey guys, I'm Kenny. I'm from theScore. From here from the street. And yeah, I work on my role is digital marketing manager. Essentially, I work on growth and acquisition for theScore, and then also most recently, about a year ago, we launched theScore Esports. So focusing on League of Legends and Dota and all that fun stuff that is taking over the world right now. For those of you that don't know, theScore is a sports scores and reviews app that essentially allows you to follow all your favorite sports teams, so the Raptors, the Leafs, but all over North America mainly, the top leagues in North America. And yeah, we are essentially, a lot of people probably think we're just a Canadian company, because that's pretty much everybody knows is theScore is a Canadian company, but approximately 60 to 70% of our audience is actually in the United States. And one of the things that has been one of my mandates is essentially work on growing that audience in the United States, whether it be through paid acquisition or finding unique partnerships that are mutually beneficial. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm up to.
And could you review the platforms that essentially the content is available through, like iOS, Android, and
Yes. So you can get our apps on esports and theScore on iOS and Android. And then also we have very prominent mobile web traffic. You can get it on desktop as well, but it's not really the best desktop experience. But yeah, we do have a desktop and web experience as well.
Okay, very cool. All right, so this is a very generic first question that I hope everyone can answer. I promise I won't do this any other time. But in my experience, most things don't work typically. Like campaigns don't work, A/B tests fail, new tools suck. It's very disheartening to do performance marketing generally. So, in the interest of uplifting everyone, can you think of an instance, an example of something related to the general native space, whether it's a campaign, a new tool you try, a push notify program, whatever, that actually worked? Something that didn't fail utterly. That is my challenge to you.
So one thing that worked really well for us was around the launch of Next Keyboard, which was our biggest launch. We launched it last fall. That keyboard app went on to become, so it's a third-party keyboard app for iPhone. It went on to become the #2 paid app. So we just couldn't beat Minecraft. And so that app has been developed for a while. For the launch, we focused heavily on a couple of the things that we always do, which is focusing on getting PR. And so that covered on TechCrunch and The Verge, and then getting a feature from Apple, And so we softened them up earlier, and they knew about the app that it was coming, and so they were excited about that launch, and so they featured it on launch. Besides that, we didn't kind of just rely on those two, and we didn't just rely on Apple. What we did was we made our two other paid apps, a fitness app and an alarm clock app, that are pretty high. They typically rank pretty high in the category as paid apps, and we know when we make them free, they can easily get together about 100,000 downloads a day. And so we plan to make those two apps free the day we were launching Next Keyboard, and we installed Mixpanel into them. For this one feature that they had in-app notifications, and it's a very simple feature that you can just send a message to your users. And so we sent a cross-promotional message pushing people who are downloading our existing apps to Next Keyboard, and so that plus all the other things help Next Keyboard rise up the chart, and that cross-promotional campaign worked really well. But the issue was Mixpanel was like super expensive for no reason. We weren't using all of those features, and so we decided to just build our own in-app notification system, which we call Beacon.
And use it across all of the apps.
Yeah, now we put it in all of our apps.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. What do you got?
So I also manage SEO for our web presence. So one thing that was really interesting to me was app indexing. I wasn't sure what to expect, what the performance was going to be like, and whether or not it would cannibalize our search traffic for mobile web. We have a pretty active web presence as well. But after implementing it, it's still kind of a work in progress in terms of the amount of content that does get indexed. But we're finding that we didn't really see any negative effects to our mobile web traffic, both our edited and runtime. So,
have you done anything on the iOS side with Spotlight search, or seen anything from that, or not really?
no, not yet.
Okay. Cool.
Sometimes utter failure is a good opportunity to learn.
Yeah, sure.
So there's success in that itself. I think more recently, one of the things that we did was we actually launched a new feature. But in terms of releasing this brand new feature, which we've been testing out on the website for a while, on the website we weren't sending any specific emails about it or anything, but once we launched it on the app, we were able to sort of send a new campaign around it with some push notifications. And it picked up really quickly, really strongly, and the engagement rate on our mobile apps versus the website pretty much matched within a few weeks. So being able to having new reasons to send users push notifications that will apply to them and isn't spam and garbage can work really well.
Okay.
On the note of like failure, or not necessarily a bad thing, I feel like in this day and age, especially now, where like this industry has evolved and there's so much data available, and there's a lot of A/B testing solutions that are really like of high quality and allow you to take a lot of the hard work out of the way, and they'll do a lot of the stuff for you. It's almost like try everything at this point, right? That's kind of my approach to digital marketing is try everything, and if it fails, then it fails, and you just learn from it. But one example that was really frustrating for me for a couple of years is I was a big proponent of full screen interstitials on our mobile website, because one of the problems that we had was on our mobile website, our Facebook page was growing at an astronomical pace. We grew from about 100,000 users during the US, not the US, but the most recent Olympics. Our Facebook page grew from about 100,000 users or likes to almost 1.5 million over the course of the Olympics, which was like 2 months or less than 2 months. So we instantly had about almost like a 10x improvement of monthly web traffic, and essentially we were kind of placed with this like marketing conundrum of like, what do we do with these mobile web traffic users? So convert them into mobile app users, where our users are significantly more likely to come back in a month. I think it's like 70x in terms of page views per month for our mobile app versus our mobile website. So one of the things that I kept pitching for a while was mobile app install at full screen interstitials. And I didn't finally get the executive team's attention until we had this problem. They wouldn't listen to me. They were like, I hate interstitials, they suck, because they're just like really bad for the user experience. But at the end of the day, my whole thing was, well, do they work? And the answer that they would give me is, we don't know, but I hate them. So then what ended up happening was I ended up getting the leeway finally to get the opportunity to test it out. And it ended up being really, really, really successful in terms of the conversion rate. And it was unlike anything we've ever done. And after we were able to kind of prove the business value for us, it's become the #1 driver of marketing-related installs that we run on our mobile website. There's nothing else that compares even close to full screen or socials. So it's one of those instances where it's almost like, you know, there's so much data available, try it, and if it, you know, just try it. And if it's available to you, why not? And you can always just cancel the marketing campaign at a moment's turn off. So, anyways, long story short, we've been able to probably acquire, I think, roughly 100 to 200,000 installs through full screen interstitials. It's been very, very profitable for us.
How did the mobile web experience, as measured by, say, you know, session duration, you know, or page per visit, how big of a knock did it take after you guys introduced interstitials?
So we did look at it. Basically, we still got the traffic, so the traffic still counts.
Sure.
However, we started with a really high bounce rate, so that was one of the performance KPIs that we were looking at was, you know, what is the exit rate, and is it really, really bad to is it worth it from a business value?
Right.
And we worked on creative to essentially make it less intrusive and make it more relevant to the user. So we even went to, like, for example, if a user came in from, you know, an NFL article from our Facebook page, we would serve an NFL-related interstitial. So we make the content relevant. We even went the extra step to, like, serve them NFL content that was imposed on the device they're on. So just going another step further to kind of help get those conversion rates up.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. A general question for the panel, because almost all of you sort of alluded to this, and I think this question is often asked in different ways. What are some tools, like third-party tools, whether they're paid or free, that are core to your day-to-day? So, like for push notifications, or wow, we use this thing for attribution and it's really great, or event tracking, anything like that, any stuff that you might recommend, essentially. Anyone?
Well, we're working on fixing it, but one of the things we're actually using is Google Analytics.
With this?
Which is not the strongest solution on the app, but it's something, and it's a good starting point. There's reasons why we're using it, because we have both web and mobile traffic and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we're using GA. We use Fabric. We monitor all our caches. Daily usage through there.
Is it Twitter Fabric?
Yes. Yeah, Twitter.
How do you do push? Do you send them?
So right now, we also have an in-house solution. We do the sending ourselves, but we do go through Parse, which is another problem because they're shutting down too.
Yeah, soon.
So we have a year. Yeah, although I think Parse is going to let you have an SDK that you can easily put on your own server. That's a solution.
Got it. And when you guys built the push platform, like what were the failings as you saw it with mixed panels and the other options out there? Or did you just look at mixed panels and like, oh, this sucks, and go around? Like, what was the process?
Yeah, so there's like lots of options for push, and you can use Parse for push.
Yeah.
But we were looking for in-app notifications.
Right.
And we didn't find a lot of solutions for in-app notifications. I think Mixpanel had the most elegant solution, the one that worked really well. You could control who you send it to, when you send it, you could track all of it. But it wasn't worth the price tag because we weren't using Mixpanel for mobile analytics. We were also using Google Analytics. And now actually we're testing on Facebook Analytics as well. So those are the two platforms we use for analytics. Mixpanel we weren't using for that. They were charging, I think, like 500 or more. It would get up to 1,000 because of the views that we were getting. And also we have a lot of paid apps that don't have accounts. And Mixpanel is really made for services that acquire users and make them sign up and create accounts. And then you can target those users specifically. So for all those reasons, it didn't make sense and we couldn't find the solution. So we just ended up building our own because it was really important.
And so actually for push, there's a permission ask, real push, third-party push. For the in-app messaging, have you built your own permissions, or does it just happen? Like, does the end user just get messages when you choose to send them, or is there like some process to get there?
Yeah, no, there's no permissions there.
Yeah.
We just send those ones out without permission.
And that gets a high response rate, it sounds like?
I did get a high response rate. The only issue sometimes, like when you have a paid app, some users don't like being notified of any new things that you're doing. For us, we look at it as email, and it's just it's an update of if you purchase this app and you like this app, here's something new that we released. And so we do that through the app notifications, and then we do that through static pages that are built in that tell you about the new apps, where you can find more apps.
Cool, okay. Kenny, what tools, if any, jump out to you that you guys use for anything, including pure DevOps stuff, crash reporting, whatever?
Yeah,
What's crucial?
Well, on my end, from an acquisition standpoint, I use Flag.
Yeah.
I found them to be very, very good from a paid acquisition source and being able to kind of easily identify key sources for us. Like, you can create custom events and then track, with regards to your own KPIs in the interface of how good the quality is. And then recently, our data team switched to Periscope, and not the Twitter live streaming app. It's a really, really, really cool tool for marketers like myself, where your data team or whoever's in charge will basically set up individual dashboards for certain members of your team, and they show only the relevant data for your particular team. So it's like super valuable for us. We've been able to get a new level of transparency for data that we've been needing for a long time.
Awesome. Okay. Do you have any questions from the room? Otherwise, I'll keep going. Anything? Yeah, sure.
My question is to like when you talk about the parse. So you said there is one option because one of my app is hosted for the parse, and I think February is the deadline. So what is the option you say?
So Parse, I believe, has or will be releasing an SDK that you can just deploy onto your own infrastructure, and so you essentially get a hosted version of Parse. And then there's a whole bunch of people now jumping on the bandwagon, whether they're analytics or a new company or some other piece. Everyone sees this opening from Parse leaking, so a lot of people are getting into the push space.
One other alternative for Parse is called Firebase. And that's worth checking out. I think Google owns them.
Cool.
Firebase.
Firebase. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, sure.
Did you try to build a referral program inside the application? So, like, you have a paid features, bring 5 friends, we want more free features.
We were talking about this before we went up here. That's actually like a really hot topic in the company, theScore, and I have the same question. I'm actually looking to learn.
The reason I'm asking is because I built a referral system in my app, and people don't want to share it. They prefer to buy rather than bring 5 friends. Trying to have a discount.
There's also like the one thing that we're talking about right now is there something we can, I think it's basically if you're gonna ask your users to ask their friends, you have to give them something. I don't know what it is, whether it's like, one thing we talked about internally, I mean, we're just spitballing this point, but just like a custom skin of the app. So say if you're a Leafs fan, you can get a custom Leafs skin of the app. Or custom alert notifications or something like that. But right now it's still a big question.
Sort of extending upon that question, one of the concerns I always have is that building sort of inbound marketing sort of effort on iOS, we can have it's preventing sort of any sort of thing that you put inside there. Have you ever had anything that you sort of has a plan to push from marketing and iOS? So, can't do that because I once had one ask where just even asking the email address to which you ask questions, thankfully they bypass that. A lot of times we're concerned that
For me, I can't think of it being related to a specific feature, but we certainly, even though we actually thankfully have some communication with Apple directly, we still struggle with those types of issues. Things go well and suddenly we do a release and it's in review and one of the problems we ran through is the photo sharing platform. We've had nudity on the platform, and Apple is very against that. So we went through issues with that.
Cool.
Yeah, go for it. Fine, Paul.
Yeah, related to the iOS question, ever had an issue with Android where it went up, Google said, yeah, it's fine, and then had it come down enough? No, because I guess this was a problem. Here from Android, I know it's an Android developers, here people put an app out, so it's running great, then 2 weeks later, your app violated terms of the service. You've been pretty lucky that way for all your applications.
Yeah, I think one of the things that probably everybody in the room obviously recognizes that when we were talking about this earlier, when Apple or Google has a problem, you bound the gods basically and do whatever they want because they're the ones who have all the power.
Yeah, sometimes though they do make random mistakes. I noticed recently they did one of those things where we didn't change anything and they rejected the app, but we have another app that's exactly like it. There's nothing different about it. So it just happened to be, I think, the reviewer, maybe he was half asleep. And he missed something, and like we had to just we resubmitted the app, but we didn't change anything, and then it went through.
Actually, we've done that once, I believe, as well. We submitted the exact same bill, or we changed something, but we didn't actually change that. So that things have changed and it went through.
But don't you have to reply back? But don't you have to reply back when you resubmit it? There is a not, why it was rejected, right?
Yeah.
So you have to explain it again that whether you take care or not, right?
Yeah, we had to give instructions, and then he followed the instructions and he went through. So yeah, there's still humans behind on the other side. Nobody knows how many humans or where they are, but there are humans there.
Somewhere in that.
Yeah, my question to Sandeep, what tools did you use to improve your app index, basically?
Just the native following. So we have for Android only right now. So just following the Google protocol with adding the meta tagging on the website, and then the right intent-based, actions on the Android side.
No deep linking, nothing?
So we are using deep linking, but it's basically the Android native deep linking. We're not using any tools right now.
What about ad blocking? Any perspective on that in terms of monetization in the future, or lack of monetization in the future?
That's a really good point. On the esports side, for us, I'm sure you guys are familiar, but Twitch is a site that is where all the esports gamers go to watch their streams. And typically Twitch has a very highly intrusive ad format. So there's full screen desktop interstitials and things are popping up, and there's video ads. And esports community has gotten very privy to it, so it's very ad blocking is very popular. And I actually ran the numbers on we actually started counting the number we can detect basically in the browser when it loads. There's a piece of JavaScript you can run, and it will tell you the percentage of users that are running ad blockers. And on the esports side, it's higher than anything I could have ever imagined. So it's definitely a problem, and it's definitely something that we're aware of, but right now I think we're just focused on building the community first, but I think at some point we're definitely going to take it very seriously.
So do you mind sharing that number?
What's that?
Do you mind sharing that number?
It's higher than 70%.
And it just
71%.
It's about what, 20%, I think,
Yeah, like 20% I think is like the standard average, and then when I read the numbers, like basically wearing glasses, like taking them off, like what is going on? But yeah, it was very eye-opening for sure.
Awesome. Any other questions? Yeah. What is the best way to get the app featured on the Apple or the Google?
There's a $1 billion question. How have you gotten featured in the past?
I wrote a blog post about it. It's on Medium. But a few things that I think help are the obvious ones, like making an app that's very different, differentiated, really well designed, and your timing has to be right, kind of thing. And then other basic things of finding people at Apple. Their office is not too far, right? A few of us probably know who the App Store managers are. And so meeting those types of people, showing them your app, getting advice from them, getting an intro, I think those are smart ways to do it. And yeah, those are like two basic tips.
Is that the inside of, because there are two teams are there. One is the iTunes store, and then another is like app review team, right? So I try to reach the app store people, but they say we don't have any control over app review team. So like, is there a base to get hold of like review team, or the app store is okay?
I think Apple does put out an email that anybody could email. I think it's like App Store Marketing at apple.com.
Is it a good way to like? Is it a good way to identify like the people who actually make the devices, like the employees of the Apple? Can they also influence something or no?
I think the people can influence something, but it's the right people. So there's like the App Store managers, and then there's the editors, and there's no way really to get to the editors. They're like the app reviewers. They hide them somewhere. And so the App Store managers are the ones that you need to get to, and they're the ones that are more accessible, and I think they do come out to events. And so those are the ones that you want to get in front of.
Any other featuring?
I would just say, we've heard before, because I've been on calls with the App Store manager who's basically giving has the ability to give you the features. And we essentially, they would have to like your app. Like the guy almost has to be like vouching for you at meetings. That's from what we've seen. And we'll be like, yeah, like we just were at the meeting and we were at the meeting where we're pitching our favorite apps, and you know, your guys came up from several people and we all love it. And so, you know, I think we're gonna give you guys a feature next month or whenever the next period is. So that's an instance where it's happened for us is like there's just like an organic, the guy ends up getting it on his phone and then he ends up liking it and using it and then goes ahead and vouches for you to get that feature.
Do you employ anyone like an update centric featured strategy? So i.e. like make big, at least seemingly significant batch updates in the hopes that it's like a new thing? Or is it more just like, you know, having this conversation and the app is the app and it's really great at all times and one day he says yes?
For us, it's probably a little bit different question than the rest of the panel, just because sports is seasonal.
Right.
So typically, what they'll do is March Madness, NFL, basketball beginning, MLB opening day, things like that. So for sports, a little bit different, but there definitely has been a couple of times where we've had huge like launches, a redesign, for example, or even like when we launched theScore Esports, we made sure they were very happy with the design and they featured us out of the gate. So that was very helpful. But yeah, that's kind of how we do it.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, we also make Apple and Google aware when we do have more of those significant updates. The other thing I was going to say earlier is be careful not to spin your wheels, but there could be value in considering those new opportunities that they create for you. When the Apple Watch comes out, tvOS was a brand new platform. iPad was still iPad, but it was a brand new, bigger screen experience. If you have an app that can translate into those types of experiences, especially when they're earlier, I believe you have a greater chance of getting some extra promotion out of that.
Absolutely, that's one of the things that we did too when we heard the Apple Watch coming out. First thing we do is we ask, are there any other sports publishers launching as well? And then they usually say no, and then we're like, okay, we're all in. What can we do to make you happy, kind of thing, and then they'll give you that feature level eventually.
Awesome. Okay, a couple more questions then.
So a lot of people probably want to grow their app, you know, they want to get adoption. And I'm wondering how important or have you employed social influencers to move your app, be it paid or is there a solution or free if it is instances where you not need to pay influencers to move your app because people want to grow, right? They're looking for that movement. Sometimes, you know, Google AdWords doesn't work on mobile very well, so that's something that doesn't really play. And you employ social influencers to move your app.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's something that's top of mind for me. Just like earlier today, my last meeting was with the #Pay guys. #Pay.com. Their office is also not too far from here. They have a platform where they connect you with Instagram and Twitter influencers. There's another company called FameBit that does the same thing for YouTube influencers. I think that's something that's definitely worth experimenting with because these influencers have millions of users. Or millions of fans and millions of followers who listen to them. I think another use case or another example, there was this app on the App Store recently that went all the way up to #1 last week. It was a utilities app for students that allowed you to take a photo of your textbook, a page, and then it would summarize it. So like, for people who don't want to read too much and want to Cole's notes for everything, we just take a few pictures and it would summarize everything for them. And they had some interesting technology. The developer was only like 18 years old, and he worked with like a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old marketer. And what they did was, they had a good budget. They had $25,000, but they put all $25,000 into Twitter and Instagram influencer campaigns, and that app went all the way to #1 on the App Store charts. And so that's something that I think a lot of us should be paying attention to and adding to the mix and experimenting with.
Absolutely. On that note, like, we've been really lucky because theScore isn't that big enough brand, I guess, in Canada to pull off the TV station, which, for all of you that don't know, we don't have a TV station anymore. We're sole providers. We're only the app and the website now. But we've had like Drake tweet a photo on or Instagram a photo of our app. We've had Floyd Mayweather, who has like 16 million followers, Instagram our app, and a lot of organic stuff like that. But it's definitely on that point of the organic, the paid influencer type marketing. It's definitely one of my passions right now that I literally been trying to kick down doors with the company to try to get us to do it. But basically, Bleacher Report is our #1 competitor in the United States. They're a sports app. They cover news really well. They're owned by Turner. They have bottomless pockets, and they're quickly becoming almost cooler than ESPN in the States for sports. But essentially, we follow it. My friend and my marketing coordinator and myself follow the space very closely. And there's an Instagram account called Host of Highlights, and they have 2.5 million followers on Instagram. And then over time, we slowly were like, wow, these guys are they're posting the clips before the NBA posts, and this is insane. How do they even get access to this stuff? And then slowly we saw them switch their URL, their URL in their bio to Bleacher Report. BleacherReport.com/mobile, which is their app install link. They're constantly linking to their account and all their posts. Follow Bleacher Report, follow Bleacher Report. But look at our amazing highlights that we stole from them again. And then we actually got in touch with the guy who runs sports on Instagram. So it's probably one of the coolest handles for us to get in touch with. And he has almost 1 million followers on Instagram. And this guy's been just running it on the side, has 1 million followers, which I don't know if anybody knows any accounts in Canada that have 1 million followers, but there's basically none. It's amazing the amount of reach this guy has for every single post. And he basically let us know that Bleacher Report has been working with Cahoots with this guy. They hired him on as a full-time employee, this influencer, who's 22 years old, still just dropped out of university, and was making $500,000 a year US posting articles on Instagram, or posting videos and photos on Instagram. And they basically have brought him in as a full-time Instagram guy to continue as he was, but now he has to use the Bleacher Report mobile link. And then what they're doing is they're paying this guy, and he's growing their account, and the growth rate from the Bleacher Report account, they were in line with where we were last year, around 100,000 followers. They're at 2.1 million followers or I think it's almost 2 million followers. They grew from 100K to 2 million using this one influencer. And the cost of working with these guys in terms of working with an influencer versus like just hiring on a team internally to grow your audience at a level, it's like pennies on the dollar almost to grow with an influencer. So long story short, sorry for the long story, but it's definitely something that we're looking to do because we've watched the potential happen right in front of our eyes, and it doesn't make sense to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to grow the legitimate way when you can latch onto an influencer and grow with them.
And we need an esports influencer.
Yes.
Esports.
Yes, and we need us like for example sports. We found a huge basketball accounts that are willing to they'll do a post for you, a sponsor post for $100. Versus if you go like Instagram doesn't even have, for example, a legitimate way for you to like pay for followers. You can't really do that right now. So the way to do it is through influencers, and it's very inexpensive. $100 a post to get you 2 million impressions is pretty amazing. And the conversion that we've found, it's another good hack for you guys. your mobile app is we found conversions on Instagram are significantly easier to convert because it's just one click away from your link in your bio on Instagram. And the quality of the user you get from an Instagram user is very high versus say Facebook or Twitter, people that are trying to click on your bio. So we found that the users that come in from Instagram are even organically are significantly better.
How do you found those influencers? Like, what is the best way to found those for our target audience?
So for us, we just look for, like for us, we're sports, right? So we just look for basketball or even football or MLB. People will post, like they have 2 million followers. They just, I don't know how they do it. They have, it's like this like black box of they have like their, I talked to the guy who runs the sports account, and he basically says that they have this Kick, they go on Kick Messenger, and they all have this giant chat, and they basically help each other grow all their accounts. We're all growing together in this community. But if you're a brand and you want to get in there, they're like, okay, how much are you going to pay for that? But they'll post their friends' accounts for free, but if you're a brand, they know you have money.
So it's like you tweet them or message them?
Yeah,
or
so on Instagram you can DM, you can direct message, so private message, and then that's how you can take it offline. And a lot of them will usually have an email address in their bio or some sort of way if they're interested in working with brands.
There is one coming up with the Boost Insider. Is that something, that's a new one coming up, which is a community of all the influencer, and then we pay them, and then whoever the influencer is that would like it, they pick it up.
Yeah, I
see
saw
a lot of
something like
advertisements
this.
coming up, but I don't know how effective it is.
Yeah, I think it really comes down, like I saw one, for example, it's similar to, I think, the network you were introducing, where you can actually create your own marketing brief, so your own Instagram brief, and then what they'll do is they'll put the brief out to all of their influencers in the community, and then the ones that are interested will raise their hand and say, I'm interested in doing this, and then you pick and choose the ones that you're interested in. And then you get your rates of how much per post or whatever. But in this one in particular, they were willing to do like unique marketing executions with your product. So there's a lot of interest. Like the influencer space is blowing up right now. It's really interesting.
In terms of age distribution,
Age? I would say, well, I mean, I think it's young. It skews young. Like probably like 18 to like 35, I would say, is probably the age that we're focusing on here. Whereas like Facebook and Twitter tend to skew a bit older. But Instagram is definitely younger community. And the influencers who I've been working with, I don't think there's any of them over the age of 25. They're all like super young kids, but they have massive influence.
Okay, should we call it now?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll do a couple more questions.
Yeah, the question will be about influencers. How to sustain your relationship with them because they're working their posts, or how to sustain that.
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I haven't really started yet, but I definitely think like for us, here's what we were thinking of doing. This is the way Bleacher Report has been working with those highlights. Is they will like we were thinking of creating fan generated or basically taking fan generated content. So say your buddy posts a vine of him falling down the stairs, and it's really funny. We give credit to that guy. We repost it onto our account. The guy's super happy that we gave exposure to his post, and then what will happen is that influencer takes our fan generated content that we borrowed, and then attributes it back to us and the original content creator. So realistically, for us, there will be an endless stream of original content we can come up with, as long as the internet stays the way it is.
Other questions?
So I guess is the glorious intraweb sort of diminishing that 10-to-1 ratio with the U.S. and Canada slightly? I mean, or should I be in Silicon Alley or the Valley? Or?
Sorry, what was the question?
I guess is technology allowing Toronto to compete with the U.S. at a better ratio than the 10-to-1 historic scenario?
On the App Store, Canada is tiny if you're doing like paid apps, or even if you're looking for free downloads. So Toronto is probably smaller. And so we focus on the US, and it does look like 10-to-1. But if you are like a Canadian startup, say like a finance company that just works in Canada, you're going to focus on the Canadian market. You're going to try to just acquire users in Canada. That's kind of the benefit of the App Store. It opens up the global market, and from our products, the U.S. is the biggest. U.S. and China are the biggest markets.
But on the hiring side, I mean, is there a readily available supply of developers at the caliber that you need to like support this sort of business?
Were we talking about developers or users?
Oh, I'm
okay.
I'm talking about business.
Got it.
I mean, if I continue my business in Toronto, or should I move to New York and hang out with the ex-living social guy, or should I go to the Valley and hang out with the Canadian 100 or whatever they call it?
Oh, the cool part is you can be in Toronto and most of your users could be from Indonesia, right? So I think there's less of those like geographic restrictions and limitations. I think Toronto's a great place to do tech company. And then in terms of talent, I think there's tons of talent here. Yeah, I agree.
Thanks.
So how much are like the developer previews having like influence on your applications? Like right now, Galaxy Android always puts out about 6 months ahead their developer preview for it. Like right now, it's developer end is out, which probably is what, November, December. Are you guys looking into the future, saying like having assigning a team saying, because quite often this with Android, like they're always deprecating stuff every year. You know, like however you develop this year is probably not going to be good enough next year because they have a new way. So you just kind of say, oh, we'll worry about it when it's in release and it's out, or you have teams that are sort of looking ahead going, oh, how we're doing things now isn't going to be flying 6 months from now, so we need to start thinking ahead, like how much.
I think, my opinion is it would depend on the size of your team and what resources you have at your disposal.
Yeah.
Certainly you should always be forward looking. And yeah, if there's new opportunities but also applications, you have to be aware of that. Sometimes, again, in that same mantra, if you build out features that are available in the new versions of the app, that can also help influence your ability to get featured. So yeah, I mean, I think if you have the resources, you should be aware of the changes that are coming.
Because I know like last year, a lot of material design was a big thing for anybody who did Android app, and a lot of people had to go back and redesign their apps.
And I believe they also had a section in the App Store featured material apps.
Yeah.
A couple more questions?
Have any of you guys done any advertising through any chat platforms like Kik or Facebook or anything else? And has that been effective?
We're launching a bot in the next couple of days.
Within your app?
Within Kik, sorry. Or Keep. And then we're gonna launch more of them across other. I think Facebook is another one we're looking to as they launch their App Store soon. And I guess I haven't seen how we work from the bot infrastructure to mobile app install growth, but I'm very curious to see how that evolves. But right now, it's just the whole bot thing is blowing up. It's crazy how like literally a week ago I'd never even heard of it, and now it's like everywhere. Yeah. It was pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't necessarily even just focusing on bots, but like, I think there's an opportunity from a mobile growth perspective. In the same way that Branch is sort of driving traffic from the web to start to drive traffic from users through, like Facebook last year launched their sort of extension of Facebook apps that work in Messenger, and there was a bunch of GIF apps that came out, but I didn't see anything sort of real. But
it's actually a huge opportunity. Just in general, word of mouth is one of the greatest things that you have working for you when it comes to discovery of the app. So I think Business Insider has some data that they released. It's a few years old, but the main way to discover apps is right through the App Store, whether you're searching or browsing. The next most popular way people discover apps is through friends and family word of mouth. It's actually really hard to monitor all these dark conversations that are going on in the various Messenger apps, so you know that they're happening. There's an earlier question about getting featured in the App Store. The discovery is also for the people that are managing that process and merchandising the new and popular apps, what's hot, or something that's trending for, let's say, merchandise. So it is a huge opportunity, only because that word of mouth is so strong for apps. So whether it's paid or organic, Kobo so far, Viber, the messaging app, is a sister company to Kobo.
we have an organic presence there in the channel, and it has pretty good engagement. But we haven't done anything with paid so far, but keeping an eye on it.
Yeah. But I mean, these are definitely more than just messenger clients, and they are chat platforms. And I'd say like if you look over to Asia, they're so far ahead of us there. Like WeChat, you can do virtually everything on WeChat. So it's just right now it's still a little bit early here in North America, but it's obviously growing.
Absolutely. So the influencer stuff is stuff that's top of mind for me, and then the other piece is messaging and bots. And I think there probably should be a growth meeting about that. We just started a meetup in Toronto called Bot.to, and we held our first session a week ago, and we had Slack out for that one, and then we're doing one on the 21st of April, and we're going to get Kick out for that one at the Shopify office, and we just want to get people talking and thinking about the messaging space and thinking about bots. And thinking about growth bots, because I think there's a lot of opportunity to use bots and to use messaging as a way to grow your apps. And there's a couple of examples worth checking out on Kick. There's this bot called Clip This, and that is, they also have a native iOS and an Android app, and what it does is it creates content that you can share easily. So like you'll put a word like yo, what's up? They'll take the word yo, find a gif of somebody saying yo from a movie, and then what's up, and they'll find like that what's up commercial, and they'll mash them together, and then you can send it to a friend. And so they took that functionality, figured out that it made sense for chat, and then you chat with this bot, and you say what you want to say, it spits back this piece of content, and then you can share it with your Kick friends. But at the top, there's a link that links to their website where you can download their app. That's one example. There's another company in Toronto called Rhythm that had some music app, but just from talking to them, they were early on Kick, and they said Kick got them hundreds of thousands of users. And so I think it makes a lot of sense to look at these platforms. Like WhatsApp has 1 billion users, 700 million or 800 million on Messenger. The smallest like Kick is still 250 million. So it's definitely an interesting time to be looking at messaging.
Awesome. You think that's good, Elizabeth? Yeah. Okay. All right, great. So first of all, thank you guys. This was really, really awesome. First of all, big thanks to the Devhub folks for having us. The space is really awesome. Thanks to Liftoff and Branch. What else, Elizabeth?
Thanks to you guys for coming out and all of your great questions. We are going to be here in May, so we're going to be here at the end of the month, and we'll be just down the street at TWG, so definitely RSVP for that meetup. If you guys know anyone who can host us, or if you know someone who could be a really great speaker, or if you think that you could offer the group some really great insights on how to grow their app, feel free to email me. I'm Elizabeth@branch.io, or if you just want to tell me how great the meetup or how much it sucked, you can email me too. So, again, big thanks to Kenny, Caitlin, Sarah, and Rose. I really enjoyed hearing what you guys had to say tonight, and thanks for being part of the community. That's all I've got.
Great. Okay.
And we're going to stick around. There's more beer. So,